All right, let's go.
Okay. Uh, hey, I'm Jonathan Tuggle. I am a veteran, and I was in the Air Force, and I flew on gunships for 6 years.
What was probably the thing that like, made you go to the military?
It was a combination of different things and factors. I came from a military family and background,
Mm-hmm.
so there was always that pride in that service. Um, Obviously, as Americans, we're all on some level deeply patriotic. Um, yeah, just small things like that. I mean, I had no direction um, coming out of high school. I didn't really have a plan. I knew I didn't want to go to college just because I had no idea what I was passionate or interested about. I thought I needed some more time. That was about the big things. Was those things?
Yeah,
There's a couple other smaller things though.
that's a big factor for people joining the military. What? So you said that a gunship was your fifth option, and you got that. How come you didn't get the other four?
That's just how it is. It goes by Air Force's needs, not yours. That's one thing
Oh,
that you
okay,
end up learning as you enter the service is that the needs of the service are put before your own.
okay. So run through boot camp. What was it like for the Air Force?
Uh, for me, it was hard. I was kind of a sheltered kid,
Mm-hmm.
um, without much experience in sports or anything um, physically rough.
So in the physical training, what were some of the things that you had to do in order to get in? Like other than running and what do you have to do?
You need to go show up at like a recruiter's office, tell him you're interested, and that's about all you have to do on your end. he'll
Oh, okay.
he'll walk you they'll walk you your hand in hand to everything you need to do and keep on you.
All right.
But yeah, you'll take several tests, physical and just like written tests. So have fun if you like those.
So what was your first mission like on the Air Force? Were you scared, nervous? What happened in it?
Um, I honestly can't remember. I can remember my first time flying, like stateside on the AC-130,
Oh, okay.
but I can't remember my first combat deployment, um, or combat mission. And
Oh, okay.
it terrified me stateside, just flying on the AC-130.
Yeah.
It was just so surreal to be on the AC-130 in the air with the guns on the line and them firing, and the 105 would go off and the tail would kick out 6 feet, and then you're also kind of flying in a circle, so you're at like a kind of like a tilted angle, uh, and you have no windows to kind of orientate yourself, so you're getting a little queasy.
So, but was it really loud in the plane since there's a lot of guns firing? Was it really loud? Or...
The engines and some of the other systems on the plane were very loud. The guns themselves weren't so bad.
Oh,
The barrels are so far out of the plane, and that's where the percussion, most of the sound ends up escaping from. You hear the guns, obviously, but
yeah.
most of the noise is just directed outside of the plane.
So, when you were on the guns, what was like the first thing you thought of before firing it? What was going through your head?
You mean like one of the first times that I was
Yeah.
just on the guns? Um, I was so hyper focused on. They had taught me like all the steps leading up to it. Um, you know, safe manual BBLB, reach block down. I just was repeating all the steps I needed to do to do what I needed to do to fire the gun. That it wasn't like I had any extra mental power to like have like another thought like, oh man, this is terrifying. Well, I mean, I guess I was scared, but there wasn't any other like deeper thought like this is surreal or anything like that. I mean, it was surreal, but I wasn't like thinking about that.
So when you fired it, were you feeling sorry for the people that you were shooting at, or did you just were you just blank and you were just thinking about everything else but that?
I think I kind of mentioned it in my video. It's not that I don't have feelings on that stuff. It's that uh, you can repress a scary, crazy amount of emotion, and just end up feeling a little bit numb.
So
Uh,
it must be tough.
there's also another big factor in that too, is that when you have something like a mission, something that um, almost seems to elevate you above the individual, higher calling, whatever you want to call it. That thing can keep you from focusing on yourself too much.
Yeah. So who is aiming the gun? Since it must take a lot of mathematical equations and stuff. Or how do you say it? Who aims the gun? The pilot or the people on the guns?
That would be at the time those were called sensor operators. They sit
Okay.
in what's called the battle management center. And there would be two different of those positions. One would be the IR, and one would be the TV. IR stands for infrared, and then TV is just like all light television. It's just multi-spectrum cameras for color
So they aimed it for you, or did they do the math to
or
tell you where
light.
to
I
aim?
mean, what's that?
So did they do the math like to tell you where to aim?
So no, the entire plane had this thing called the mission computer, and the the pilots. There was this whole kill chain of these selector levers that were just basically toggle switches, safety toggle switches that everyone had to flip the switch to kind of allow that chain to be complete. And once that chain was complete, like back in the back, one of the things I had to do for this whole chain was that I would turn the hydraulics on for the guns so that the guns would move, and then I would hit this button called slave, and slave would allow the gun to be matched up to the mission computer, and that way, whatever sensor input or when a sensor selected that gun, and I got the prompt to hit that button and hit slave, it would basically move wherever the sensor aimed the
Okay,
his little
that's really
toggle
cool.
switch.
Cause I always thought that it was like manually aimed. But that's really cool that it does that. In that Civcast mission, were you thinking about shooting it either way because of that? The entire chain of command thing. Were you just thinking about firing it at the building?
Um,
Can-
you mean before like leading up to that whole event?
Yeah. Were you just thinking about firing those guns at that building? Since your ground troops were like really scared.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty natural reaction to that. I mentioned this in like one of my comments is I had never up to that point seen a ground party get penned like that. I'd never been on a mission where Taliban had been in a building and not in like a tree line, up on a ridge line, out in the open. Um, and that comes with a lot of stuff. I had never seen um, like collateral damage assessments cause a strike to be not authorized. I've never seen clearance take that long to get. There was a lot of factors that just made me just want to destroy that building. But obviously, that was just because I was young, naive. I didn't realize what could potentially come with destroying the building. I mean, you think that would have been on my radar, but it was so far out of the realm of what I considered to be a sane thing to do to shoot at soldiers when you have innocents in a house.
So were the soldiers close to the building, or were they like 200 yards out or something like that?
No, this was only like maybe a distance of 40, 50 feet
Oh
from
wow!
that window to where these guys were pinned behind the wall.
Oh my god! Just imagine, like, if they threw a grenade, they all would have like died. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if it sounded like there was just one shooter in the window. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure. There might have been multiple.
Was that wall wooden or was it like steel?
No, it was made out of whatever Afghan material or the Afghan materials they have over there. It's
Oh.
made of mud. It's made of mud brick. Uh,
Oh. Okay. So it's
yeah,
like
they still use a lot of mud brick over there It's pretty natural a building material for him, and so that was all that was separating these guys from that shooter in the window was
That's
mud brick.
and then when you got back, you what were you like as soon as you got back to base? What went through your head about that mission?
Um, I'm gonna be entirely honest. I feel like that was just that point was reality was entirely off kilter for me. I couldn't that kind of sort of time frame for something like that to happen is not enough time to process those kinds of complex emotions, and a lot of times people end up in shock emotionally, mentally. Um, this is a school project.
Yeah.
I won't get any more into that than I need to.
Okay. So you said that one of the ways you combated all that trauma was drinking. Do you regret drinking to get rid of those emotions? Because like you said you thought it would work, but it turned out it didn't. So do you regret ever drinking?
Right. So drinking is not a healthy coping mechanism,
Yeah.
nor is any narcotic. There's things that can be done for coping mechanisms that are a lot better. Meditation, writing, any kind of like creative thing that you have some kind of interest in, or even if you don't have an interest in, you might find once. Hopefully, no one ever has to deal with any of this stuff, but there are coping mechanisms that you can find. Taking a walk in a park. Just getting out of your house and out of your head. There's all kinds of things that can be done about it. Drinking is the last thing that anyone should ever do
Yeah. So when you
for
said
for this
oh,
kind of thing.
when you said that you couldn't get that Civcas out of your mission, out of that Civcas mission out of your head, I really felt that because there's a lot of traumatic things that happen in people's lives that they can't get out of their head, and some of those really lead to alcoholism. So when I was watching that video, I thought that you were really lucky to not get an alcoholism addiction like that, and
I did,
you're
man.
and yeah, but
I'm
you got
not
out
gonna.
of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so like
But
you're really lucky for that, and
I went through the whole shakes at the end of drinking and all that stuff too.
yeah.
And like physically craving it and mentally craving it.
Well, you're really lucky that you got out of that addiction when you can, because people just fall into that trap that they can't get out, even when they want to, because there's nothing else they can do except for drinking. So, if there's one message you can say for people who have drinking addictions that they can't get out of because they're too deep into it, what would you say?
I'm sure there's programs out there that don't cost money, help you out, like Alcohol Anonymous. I'm honestly a big believer now in the power of like uh, people in groups. Um, maybe not sitting down in like a weird setting, where you stand up and like, hi, I'm blank, I'm whatever. But like just reaching out to someone over the anonymity of the internet that is in one of these groups and just talking with them.
Yeah, so
Simple as that.
your online friends are a really big part that you should
I mean,
just run into.
you get that little bit of social distance where it's not so scary.
Yeah.
What potentially what a person that you're connected to will think or say. Uh, it becomes a lot easier to talk about an issue. Soundboard with a stranger. If this stranger is cool with this, then like my loved ones should be too.
Yeah. So you said that your cousin took that Civcast mission and turned it against you in an argument. Do you forgive him for that, or are you still holding? Do you still like?
Oh no. That was me and him were going through two separate things in our own lives at that point,
Oh, okay.
and none of us are trained mental health professionals. So that was a bit of us stepping on each other's toes on accident, and him taking offense at something I said, and then him offending me in return.
So did he apologize for what he said, or did he just leave?
Um, yeah, he did that day, but he also once that video came out, like he reached out to me. He's like, "Man, I'm so sorry about all that." And I was
Oh,
like, "It's all good."
yeah. So how did your parents feel about all that stuff? Like, did they comfort you in any way?
Um, they hate that I've gone through it. I mean, they said as much. Um, they were like, "You've put my dad, anyways, because he was a military cop and he saw some stuff, and he said you put into words a lot of the stuff that I had been going through when I was a younger guy."
So you can just tell people out there that even if you don't feel like it, your parents are a big part of what can get you through traumatic experiences, right?
Right, but I don't want to say that and have someone feel left out. Just any people in your life that
Yeah,
uh, love you and care for you. Uh, I think we worry a lot, even though we know we shouldn't. And if we need to soundboard the idea off of a stranger first to get comfortable to the point where we open up to a person we love about something, then that's exactly what we should do.
definitely. I definitely agree with that. So, uh, do you were there any things that you've gained from being in the military? 'Cause I know people just join it for like the cars, like the Camaros and stuff. Is there anything that you gained from that?
There's a lot of stuff that I thought I would get out of it and didn't, and a lot of stuff that I did get out of it and wasn't expecting. Um, I thought I would be much more squared away, driven guy than I am. Uh, I thought the military would set me up on like a quick path to success. It doesn't matter if you go through the military; it requires work on your
Yeah.
part to be successful. And a big problem with having gone to war and going and having that trauma over your head is that there's a lot of self doubt and worry that can cripple the amount of motivation that most military members seem to have that haven't gone to war.
So, uh, just a couple more questions. What what was one thing that your parents did to try to not get you to join the military? Like, did they let you, or did they like try to force you to stop?
Say that one more time. Sorry about that.
So, did your parents like just let you join the military, or did they want you to not join because of what they went through?
Both of them served during peacetime. My mom was actually a recruiter, and she's
Oh,
kind of
okay.
apologized to me. She thinks that she drove me towards it, but to be honest, that conversation with my uncle had more of a factor in me joining than anything she ever did. But they both served during peacetime, and because of that, they didn't really understand what the wartime military could be like. They knew it was going to be tough, but they didn't have uh, the experiences of what wartime military
Oh,
tough it would be. So I don't really fault them for them being supportive and telling me their experiences and being excited for me to be in this career field. Uh, if I had had a combat vet in my life to tell me a little bit more, I may have given everything a little bit more shot. But just the fact that literally the people that had been in it, warned me about smaller things, uh, not war, uh, made me comfortable with my decision without overthinking it.
so you don't have to answer this question, but what like was there anything that you found either on one of the cameras in the plane that was um scary, anything like that? Because I know some soldiers that I've seen like on forums or Reddit saw drugs and stuff like that who were like ground
Um,
troops.
I found a
You
rat
found
on the plane once.
you found a rat on your plane. Uh,
Yeah, big old rat in the MRE box.
were the MREs good? Were you excited to open one up and eat them?
They were good. I would not eat too many of them though.
Okay,
They mess up your digestive tract.
I wanted to try one out one day, just for fun of it. Uh, what? Who was? So growing up, what was your favorite thing to do? Like, other than playing games, I suppose.
Yeah, I
Just
was a big gamer, but I also liked riding my bike. Was big into that. Fucking sorry about cussing.
no, you're
Hacky
good.
sack, hacky sack. Just kind of goofier little hobbies that I'm sure some people would find relatable, but that might date me a little bit.
So you said that you hated like guns and military, and I mean war, before you joined the military.
Yeah,
After
yeah.
you left, how did you feel about it then?
Um, there were multiple phases that I went through. I the first phase I went through was um, hell yeah, I'm a veteran phase, or oh yeah, I'm a veteran phase. So I had never done this in my entire time in the military, but for whatever reason, I felt the need to broadcast that I was a veteran. So I was walking around wearing the camo hats, the grunt style shirts, the ones that look like you served just by the sayings on them and the logos.
Oh yeah, I've seen people in
Walk
public wearing that.
walk into a class in college with my backpack that I had been issued in the military that's camo. And after that phase kind of ended, which it did end pretty, I say quickly, but really it was like a year, um, maybe a year and change. But after that, it was a little bit of disillusionment. Like, uh, I realized that it didn't really matter that I was a veteran. I was making it a little bit too much a part of my identity. I mean, it matters on some level, but I was tying it so much into my identity, like the same thing I'd done with being a gunner on the Ace 230, that um, I realized it was making it harder for me to like connect with people, like because I would go to like trying to talk about like gunships first, and for a lot of people, like they're happy to like if they know what a gunship is, they're happy to talk about it, but if they don't, you know, it's not
Yeah.
interesting to them.
Uh, what was the biggest thing that you regret doing in the military?
The thing I regret the most,
Yeah.
um, I don't see how the Helmand River Valley would pan out any other way. Do I regret it? But I do. Biggest, but when you say biggest regret, it makes it sound like I could have done something differently than what I did.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just awkwardly sidestep the Helmand River Valley story and steer towards the fact that I got a DUI in the military.
uh,
That's one of my bigger regrets in the military is getting a DUI.
all right. I think that's it. I'm not thinking of anything else.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, dude.